Do you have heartburn? Do you have acid reflux? Might you have GERD or silent GERD? The fact that you don't know and you're watching this video is the reason why you need to stay on this video, because knowing the difference between those things, GERD, acid reflux, silent GERD, heartburn, is the reason why you're still in pain, and or if you're not in pain now, why you will be soon, and you'll be suffering from the effects of it. So let's talk about just what are the difference between those things. Let's just start there, all right? Basic anatomy of the stomach, all right? You've got your esophagus. Esophagus is where your food comes down, all right? Down here. You have a little valve in there called the esophageal sphincter, right above your stomach. Then it goes below that, the food drops below the esophageal sphincter, and your food then ends up in here, your stomach. Okay? As the food then gets into the stomach, you produce stomach acids. So here's your food, and your stomach acids are produced to help digest those foods. Okay? Makes sense, right? That's how we digest. When you have problems with digesting and the stomach acids and or the gas that is produced, we'll use a pink color for that. When you don't digest well, the stomach acids don't do their job. You get gas that builds up, and the body tries to produce more stomach acids to try and digest it. So now you've got more acids being produced. You've got more gas building up in the stomach, and this gas and this pressure that is building up makes its way into the esophageal sphincter. If your esophageal sphincter is relaxed or damaged, or the pressure is just too much, it pushes beyond that, and now you get gas pushing up into here. And it irritates the bottom of your esophagus. That is called acid reflux. Okay? So acids and gas pushing beyond the esophageal sphincter is acid reflux. That's a condition. Okay? Heartburn are the symptoms that develop when that happens. So the burning, the pain, the knot in your stomach, right? The kind of cramping sensation. Actually, sometimes feels like heat. All of those symptoms, that is heartburn. Okay? That's the actual symptoms. What you feel is the heartburn. The problem is the acid reflux. Okay? So let's be clear on that. Now, here's what's interesting about that. The long-term effects of acid reflux are called GERD. All right? So when you have these gases and acids making their way up into the bottom of the esophagus, it can damage the bottom of the esophagus, okay? So that damage is known as esophagitis. And if it becomes cancerous, meaning long-term, it's called Barrett's esophagitis. Okay? That is one of the symptoms of GERD. Okay? GERD stands for gastroesophageal reflux disease or disorder. Okay, so it's the long-term effect. It's the chronic acid reflux becoming GERD. Okay, so esophagitis is one of those things. You may also get irritation further up here into the throat. You might get some burning in the throat, up higher into like your neck, right? You might actually get a cough from it. You might get a lump in your throat. Okay, this is all symptoms of the need to clear your throat. You feel like you're constantly have mucus in your throat. And you got to trying to get that stuff up and out, right? It's a mucus buildup in the throat. That's all part of what is called GERD. Okay? And now silent GERD is literally all of these symptoms without the heartburn. Okay? So you have somebody who's got a throat problem, a cough, they have constantly need to clear their throat and no heartburn. They spend their whole life thinking that they're just mucusy and they have a cough. Why do I have this cough? That's called silent GERD. It's all the symptoms of GERD with no heartburn. Okay? So that is the difference between the three. The fact that you don't know what you have and the doctor's not figuring that out, that is one of your problems because they throw you on first maybe some Tums or some Rolaids, Pepto-Bismol, something to squelch these acids from being produced, right? The problem with that is that these acids help you digest your food. So if you end up on a PPI, like a pantoprazole or a meprazole or PPI, that's a stronger version of those Rolaids and Tums. It reduces your stomach acids, right? So that helps with the acid reflux. But the problem is you need those to digest. So you're fixing a problem and making a new problem, right? So if you eliminate all these acids, so when you eat your food, you don't get the heartburn, you don't get any of these symptoms, but the problem is now you don't digest your food properly. When they first developed these PPIs, like 20 years ago, before 2000, there were no PPIs. It was just take your Tums, take your Rolaids, your Pepto-Bismol, right? They created these PPIs to help people after surgery because their stomach acids were so low that they would have problems, or if they needed to just reduce those acids due to some sort of stomach procedure, like an ulcer. But they were never meant to be long-term, only short-term, a month at most, and let those stomach acids come back. Well, they got such good results with reducing these stomach acids and reducing heartburn that they just let's just stay on them, all right? Because it's an easy fix. It's slapping a Band-Aid on your problem every single day, which is why you have to take it every single day, and over time, you have to take more and more and more because you never fixed the problem. You have to find out why you have the acid reflux in the first place. The problem is the acid reflux, not the acids themselves. Why are your acids building up? A lot of the time, you got to get tested, and doctors aren't willing to do that testing, right? That's what we do in our office, okay? Before we dive into that, one thing I also want to mention here is the problem with not digesting your food is the long-term effects of you don't get enough digestion. You get poor digestion, so you're pushing undigested food now down into your small intestine. Your small intestine then says, whoa, what's going on here? We're not supposed to digest any of this. You're supposed to be doing that, stomach. So now that becomes undigested food that bacteria can feed on, yeast and candida can feed on. That creates infection. This leads to things like irritable bowel disease, or at the first part, diarrhea or constipation. It can then lead to things like irritable bowel disease or leaky gut. Okay, these are digestive problems that never go away. And the people who are on PPIs are like, my heartburn's great, but now the rest of my digestion stinks. Okay, the other one is poor absorption of nutrients. And this is why I brought up earlier, if you don't know what you have, and you're just listening to what the doctor tells you to take, you're going to have problems later. So this poor absorption of nutrients, you need to get these acids up to properly break down your healthy fats, which you need for everything, your hormones, your brain, energy. You need healthy fats. Every cell in your body uses fats to make their cell layer. So your body starts to break down from that. That's just one thing. All the minerals that you lose out on, the calcium, if you don't have that, you get soft bones when you get older. Magnesium, if you don't have magnesium, you get anxiety. You start to get constipation. You don't digest as well. You can get trouble sleeping. You can get restless leg. Things like B vitamins. If you don't have B vitamins, you can't do a lot of things that the cell needs to do. So the biggest thing you get is fatigue, but also lack of brain focus and concentration and memory and all those things, right? So you're not getting your B vitamins out of your food. You also need to get your antioxidants. So things like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, other things that are minerals like selenium, glutathione that you get from your diet. You don't digest these things well, so now you're risking your things like cancer, oxidative stress throughout the body, so different breakdown processes, the biggest one being cancer. This is what happens later. You fix this problem, or so you think you're fixing. You're not fixing anything. And because you don't know what you have, this is what you're risking. So this is what we do in our office. We figure out what's causing the acid reflux. That's at the core. Why do you have that? You got to test. My purpose for this video today is to not only educate you on this, but let you know that you got an opportunity today to start to figure out why you have acid reflux and finally fix it. We do in our office this thing called a discovery call, where we figure out, based on that call, if you're a good fit for our office. You might also have questions about what we do in our office. You can ask those. You sit down with my assistant. It's a quick call. It's free. But you get to sit down and see if this is a good opportunity or a good option for you. And if so, then we move forward and we say, okay, why do you have this? This is an opportunity for you to get down to the root cause of what you've got. Take advantage today. At the bottom of this, you can see that there is a URL that you can go to, QR code that you can use. Go there, sign up for your call, and let's finally figure out what's going on with your heartburn and acid reflux.